Groaners, welcome to episode 174. It's a bit of a sad one because we've lost so many people over the course of this week. Roughly, we lost one political figure who was making a difference and two acting legends in their own right. 2026 is still in its infancy and we've lost some greats already. But personally, I hope this year is a good one for you. It's been a good one for me so far. Apart from having the horrible cough thing a little while ago where I had to use AI. Never again. But Admin Nicole has brought us facts for every single person we've lost in the last week. The games, well, what we're going to have yes or BS, and the 5-point countdown, and then what the hell is this, or where the hell is this? I was going to do yes or BS. I was going to do Give Me the Question, but unfortunately the podcast had run a little bit longer than I wanted to, because there's a lot jammed in here. So you've got two games, and then you've got the weekly game. We'll also have random amounts of groantent popping up like we usually do. But I'll start us off with my groans, and we'll go from there. Obsession with hot honey. Right, groaners, I may be hot-headed sometimes, but I hate pointless heat in food, as I've already stated. However, two examples of hot honey being used in weird positions. Number 1, hot honey Jaffa cakes. A sweet treat is what a Jaffa cake is, so why the spice? Hot honey crunchy nut crunchies. And this is a breakfast cereal. I mean, why? What next? Hot honey by the can? Or hot honey X-rated products? And no, I'm not going to go into details. Just what is the point of this in general, especially for breakfast? Leave it out. Kicking doors of KFC. Kids of the 2010s to 2020s, we the old generation get you aboard because there are no youth clubs anymore. However, must you get your joys by being a nuisance to society, especially harassing staff in both KFC and Morrison's. But then also kicking the doors in repeatedly of KFC and annoying the staff. Boredom is no excuse. Go to a mutual friend's house and see how far kicking their front door in gets you. Owners in denial. Now I watch a lot of clips of shows such as Kitchen Nightmares or Bar Rescue on YouTube, and here is a common theme which I don't understand. The owners blow smoke up Gordon Ramsay or John Taffer's arse. You've clearly contacted them for a reason, yet they come to help you and either say your food or drinks are award-winning, which is complete bull, or you say you're known across the USA or the UK, which is also bull. A lot of these places have hygiene levels that would make a backed up toilet blush, especially their lack of cross-contamination knowledge. Some say it's drama, yet I firmly believe it's just people being thick as mints. That's my groans knelt for judgment now, and the final sentence will be delivered on them with the audience groan later on. As we stated, we lost 3 figures who are legends in their own right, and to honour each of them, Admin Nicole will present facts on each of them in a tri-burst or quad burst, or just a burst in general. The first one being Robert Duvall, who we lost age 95 on 15th of February. He passed away peacefully at home. Robert Selden Duvall's first film role was in 1962, where he played Boo Radley in To Kill a Mockingbird. His first television role was in 1969 as Burks in Armstrong Circle Theatre. His first role in theatre was in 1966 as Harry Rote Jr. in Wait Until Dark. His final role was in 2022, where he played Jean Pepe in The Pale Blue Eye. In 1974, he played Tom Hagen in The Godfather Part 2. He also did voice work for Tom Hagen in The Godfather and The Godfather Part 2 video games that were released in 2006 and 2009 respectively. Across the span of his career, he won an Academy Award, a BAFTA Award, 4 Golden Globes, 2 Primetime Emmys, a Satellite Award, and a Screen Actors Guild Award. He was one of the last surviving stars from the golden age of Hollywood. You know, I've seen To Kill a Mockingbird, which is a seriously good film. Yes, it might be old, but stick with it. I had to study it for a project in secondary school, and I honestly didn't know he played Boo. I can see it now looking at the picture of them side by side, both Robert Duvall and Boo Radley. Also, I mistakenly thought he was Shelley Duvall's dad. She played Olive Oyl in 1980's Popeye, as well as Mrs. Wendy Torrance in the Stanley Kubrick masterpiece The Shining. He wasn't a dad. Mr. Duvall, thank you for your services to film and everything else. As we pay our respects throughout the episode, we'll also play games, and this next one is the 5-point countdown. You all know this one, Groaners. You've got to guess what I'm talking about with 5 clues. I'm going to give you all the clues next session, in succession. It's up to you where you want to pause, but do remember, where you guess is where you scored the points, okay? If you originally got it right, but then changed your mind, you can't go back and say, oh yeah, I scored 5 points. No, you have to change your mind further down and then say you got it right at 3 points. It makes sense to me. I don't know if it makes sense to you guys, but anyway, here we go. Clue 5 for 5 points. You may only eat at sunset when doing this. Clue 4 for 4 points. Fasting is part of this. Clue 3 for 3 points. It begins on 17th of Feb and ends 19th of March. Clue number 2 for 2 points. In 2030 there will be 2 of them. And clue 1 for 1 point. This is also starting to be done by people of other faiths, not just Muslim. Pause, Groaners, wherever you can. Have a guess, or numerous guesses. Remember where you guessed, and you might have it right. The answer will come later. Admin Nicole moves us over to the creepier side of the show now with Creepy Corner. The story for this week is called Dragged Right In. Robin calmly asked the villagers to watch Cove as he played near the river. This was not a conversation he wanted him to be a part of. After smiling and waving him off, assuring him that everything will be fine, Robin immediately turned his attention to the prince and slammed his fist onto the table. Look, I don't know what you're doing here. I don't care what's going on. I have my plan, and that is all I care about. All I need to focus on is getting Harmony and Cove into somewhere safe and freeing my sister. Your petty squabbles and fighting a little goddess are not in those plans. So I'm sorry to say, but no, we refuse to help. In fact, we are leaving this village tonight, Robin said. Prince Daniel sighed before looking at Violet. He knew immediately that Robin didn't fully understand what was really going on. Mabel came out of the other room, arms full of more notebooks and paperwork, some of which were hastily written. She spoke of how Liam would sometimes feel entranced in his research. He used the pigs to further his research on soil. It was his whole life. That was until his research led him to the goddess. This is what made him the target. His research and trances often led him into learning things he was never meant to know. That combined with the legends of the world's history that no one could ever comprehend. It made sense in a way that only Liam could understand, and it was that very thing that led to his death. There's an old folks' tale, a story told to children to give them hope. The goddess of the stars, and how love can truly save all. They say the world repeats itself, renewing life as the cycle repeats. The story claims that in a world before this one, the goddess saw the tortured state of the world and burned it down, saving the lives of those she loved to create this one. A world born from the fires of destruction and rebirth. One that forced the goddess back to the stars where she could watch over the peace she had created. However, the legend also mentions the evil that tried to claim her for itself back in that world. How it made many suffer for some grand plan. The goddess, and those she loved, fought back, many dying in the final battle. This world is her peace and proof of her love and bravery, Mabel explained. Not a single adult in this world thought anything more of that legend other than it just being a story to give children hope and encourage them to do the right thing. However, Liam's research slowly gave that legend truth, as if it was no mere story, but in fact the history of how their own world came to be. He discovered a connection between the ancient stars above and the soil down here. A connection to the stars that Liam was able to refine and use in order to make the very candle that was used to summon the goddess. Even if all this is true, what does that have to do with us? What about this Lord Lionel? You said he was after the goddess, and yet he just left after she did appear, Harmony asked. Violet took one of her father's notebooks off the table. It was one of the final notebooks he ever wrote in. Towards the end, his handwriting grew more urgent and fearful, and his last entry never got to be finished. Violet and the prince are worried that the goddess may not even be aware of all the facts herself. They believe that a fall from the world before this one survived, somehow, and altered the world after the goddess made her wish to protect her loved ones. In that tiny moment, as the world was left to build itself, a fall from her past could have somehow altered everything. He didn't need the power to undo what the goddess wanted for this world. He just needed to make his own input and create the world in his image. Robin asked for proof. It was such a far-fetched idea to believe that a completely ordinary human could bypass a goddess, let alone an entire world's creation. Yet that's when Mail pointed out that if it wasn't a human, or wasn't meant to be anyway, it could be possible. The world itself may not have recognized them as an intruder and listened. There's no way of knowing how it could have been done. Lord Lionel, he runs the scientists, every last one of them, in all aspects. He's in charge, with one exception, the keeper who holds Yggdrasil. I'll never pronounce that right. No one had ever seen him, and yet everyone knows they are the only person Lionel cares about, except for the goddess. That and the ducks anyway. For some strange reason, Lord Lionel has somewhat of an obsession when it comes to ducks. He says they're family. I've even heard rumours of scientists being killed if they harm those ducks in any way, Daniel said. Once again, Robin had to ask what they had to do with anything. The confusion of it all was starting to frustrate him now. Mabel explained that in Liam's research, he somehow found that in the old world there was a boy who was born a duck. His father was a scientist who found a way to make him human. That boy and his father wanted the goddess. The boy viewed the goddess as his mother. There were too many coincidences. They were convinced that the boy was Lord Lionel. As for why Lionel was so interested in Robin, they had no answers for that. They were just as confused as he was. However, it meant that Robin was in a much deeper fate than he had anticipated. This may not be what he had planned, but it seemed his destiny lay much deeper than he could have imagined. That's when Violet placed a photo in front of Robin. She claimed it was from a world before this one. She had no idea how her father got a hold of it, but he was so sure that this was from another world. This man used to be called Dr. Quack. He was Lionel's father in the other world and an especially gifted scientist. We believe him to be the Keeper. I knew it! I knew Dr. Quack would be back or mentioned in some shape or form in this new story arc. I knew it, Nicole. I knew it. Where there's Lionel, there's Quack. Well written, as always, Nicole. Sticking with them and Nicole, she brings us our second sad passing, which involves the actor Tom Noonan. Tom Noonan was well known for his villain roles, but he never started acting until the age of 27. His imposing height of 6'5" was often speculated to have been responsible for why he was often cast in villain roles. Some of his more notable roles were serial killer Francil Dollarhide, aka the Tooth Fairy, in Manhunter, the drug kingpin Kane in Robocop 2, and Frankenstein's monster in the Monster Squad. Frankenstein became a good guy, by the way, and the Ripper / himself in Arnold Schwarzenegger's Last Action Hero. He also made numerous appearances in television, including the X-Files episode Paper Hearts, which was written specifically for him. In 2015, Noonan voiced all of the supporting characters in Duke Johnson and Charlie Kaufman's stop-motion comedy drama film Animalasia, for which he won the San Diego Film Critics Society Award for Best Supporting Actor. No cause of death has been mentioned, but it's sad, but it is said he passed peacefully on February the 14th this year. Sadly, this brings us 2 deaths so far, but this isn't the only one. However, we will hand over the audience groan now. This groan came in from Pete of Jarrow via email. And he says, "Inconsiderate people who rush to get on off public transport and don't allow me with my stroller time to get off really annoy me. No one is exempt from illness or age, and their time will come. Please be considerate for the older generations who cannot move as fast as you young ones." Pete, this is an excellent groan. I've experienced similar in rush hour on local metro lines. People just need to be more aware. Give people time to get off buses, trains, metros, whatever. Let them get out. If you want to hand in a groan just like Pete did, or any groantent ideas or feedback, you can do so on the following ways. drop a comment on any platform you listen to us on, be it Amazon Music, Podbean, Spotify, YouTube. You drop the comment, give us an email, we'll review it, and then try and pop the comment or the feedback or the idea into the show. Message myself or admin Nicole on Facebook Messenger, that's Mr. E. Groaner or Nicole Amos. Speaking of Facebook, you can go on Facebook groups and find us under the Groans on Podcast Facebook group. You can still come on Discord, even though we're not really doing it live just yet, and drop your comments and everything else there. And I believe that is about it on how you contact the show, Groaners. Thank you very much. Look forward to hearing from you. Handing over from Groans, we go back to games now with the SOBS. Remember, you're avoiding the BS statement or statements here. Round 1. The Future Scream Code Round. A. The Matrix code in a series of films was made up of digitized sushi recipes. B. In Back to the Future, the original time machine was supposed to be a fridge, not a car. Or C. The original title for Scream was Scream for Me. Pause your groaners, pick your statement, and then unpause. Round 2. The Blonde Sheetbird Round. A. The oldest known instrument for music is a 40,000-year-old flute made of bird bone. B. The Beatles composed most of their songs by sheet music. C. Elvis Presley was actually blonde. Pause your groaners, pick your statement, and then unpause. And lastly, round 3. The French Red Lion Round. A. The national animal of England is the lion. B. French was spoken in England after 1066 for about 300 years. C. The first stamp issued in the UK was known as Red Ronald. Pause your groaners, have a think, pick a statement, and then unpause. And the answers to SOBS will come later. Groaners, as sadly now we move on to our third loss, but this time from the political figure world. Jesse Jackson, who was a key figure during the US civil rights movement of the 1960s. He's also known for being the first African American to make the jump from activism to major party presidential politics. He was the protege of the late Martin Luther King and the first African American to find significant success at the ballot box for presidency. This would pave the way for those who came after him, such as Barack Obama and Kamala Harris. Martin Luther King is actually quoted as saying, "No one could be more effective than Jackson." His tireless dedication to racial equality spanned more than 6 decades and helped shape the modern civil rights movement. His speech to the 1988 Democratic National Convention, which ended with the refrain, "Keep Hope Alive," would be echoed decades later in the Hope and Change slogan of Obama's successful 2008 presidential campaign. No cause of death had been given, but he had been living with Parkinson's since 2017 and was admitted to hospital last November with progressive supranuclear palsy, a rare neurological disorder he had been managing for more than a decade, but only received a diagnosis for it in April. He passed away on the 17th of February this year. To move away from loss, let's see who scored points with the game answers. Sorry for lack of games this week, Groaners, but acknowledging legends was far more important. From last week, your solution to anagram anxiety was wear your heart on your sleeve. It originates from the Middle Ages, like stemming from chivalric customs where knights, during jousting tournaments, would wear a lady's token on their armour sleeve, symbolising that their heart belonged to her, making their affection visible to all. The 5-point countdown. Your answer was Ramadan. Yes or BS. Round 1. The Future Scream Code Round. If you picked C, you've got no points, because your other ones were true. Round 2. The Blonde Sheet Bird Round. If you picked B, you've still got no points, or your points from round 1 are being blanked. And round 3, the French Red Lion Round. Again, if you picked C, then again your points in this game have been blanked completely. So sorry about that, Groaners. If you came out with points at all, well done. Now for our final game of the episode, which is Where the Hell Is This? These islands have been hotly disputed recently. Talks have been ongoing between the UK and Mauritius. The UK and the USA both have military bases on it. with the clues given, where the hell is this? The picture will appear on Facebook and Podbean, and the answer will come next week. Unfortunately, as the episode has been written, another person passed away, and we'll mention him here before signing off. Eric Dane. Eric Dane was an actor best known for his roles on Grey's Anatomy and Euphoria. He was born in 1972, and his acting career started with his television debut in The Wonder Years in 1993. He was unfortunately passed at 53, less than a year after revealing he had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis. He spent his final months raising funds for motor neurone disease. In December, he joined the board of directors of Target ALS, an organisation dedicated to research for effective ALS treatments and a cure, who said he had helped one of its campaigns surpass a fundraising target of $500,000, that's £371,000. He is survived by his wife and 2 children, as well as friends and family and colleagues, who described him as a joy to work with. Apologies if we missed acknowledgement of anyone who passed away. I know this episode was a little bit bleak, groaners, but we had to give credit to the fallen. We'll be back next week. Take care. Bye-bye. Admin Nicole moves us over to creepier side of the future stream. The Beatles composed most of their music.